Thank you very much, Dr. Quadros, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here today as the ISJ introduces the report that you've distributed. I think it's obviously a very timely document, very comprehensive. I think it puts together in one place a lot of the information from a variety of different sources that demonstrates unequivocally that what the regime in Tehran is up to is a nuclear weapons program. And I think it also underlines that we are at a very dangerous moment. We are at a very dangerous moment because with the negotiations in play, the fate of Iran's nuclear weapons program, protecting it well into the future, an objective that the regime has sought for many years, is within sight. So I'd like to cover briefly today 4 topics. Iran's political strategy, its diplomatic strategy, its public relations strategy as reflected in the report, and then finally the problem I think that we have going forward. You know, Iran's political strategy in the first instance is really broader than just dealing with its nuclear weapons program. The aim has been, over these last, let's remember now, almost 12 years, has been to gain legitimacy for the regime itself. How the regime in recent days has taken advantage of weakness on the part of its counterpart negotiators to continue to expand that effort at political legitimacy. The fact that the President of the United States has written to the Iranian leadership 4 separate times, most recently dealing with the threat of ISIS in the Middle East, is a demonstration that the regime can see that there are more concessions to be had, broad concessions, not just on the nuclear weapons issue, but for expanding political legitimacy as well. Second, in terms of the political strategy, they obviously wanted legitimacy for the nuclear weapons program. Now, they're not going to get that in so many words, but the regime made a decision over 30 years ago that they were going to build nuclear weapons, and there's not the slightest evidence that we have seen that there has been any change in that objective, and that political objective remains absolutely central. So when you listen to the Western negotiators say we want to resolve the problems about Iran's nuclear weapons program, and they mean end it, the regime means protect it. There's no compromise here. Iran either gets nuclear weapons or it doesn't. It either has a nuclear weapons program or it doesn't. There's no halfway position between having a nuclear weapons program and not having a nuclear weapons program. So what Iran is achieving here in broad political terms really cannot be underestimated. Now, second, let's turn to the regime's negotiating strategy. They have, over an extended period of time, now over 12 years, followed the approach of wearing down first the Europeans and then the Americans. You know, you hear from briefings and leaks about the negotiations how technical the agreement is, how complicated the appendices are, how much detail is involved. That is a signal that more and more of the program is being accepted, and that you're arguing about metrics at the margin, not the center of the program itself. So this wearing down of the negotiators on the other side has been part of the diplomatic strategy for Iran, and very, very successful. What Iran has done over a sustained period of time is pursue a policy of cheat and then retreat on its obligations. Its obligations as a non-nuclear weapons state under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, under the obligations of multiple UN Security Council resolutions, and the report is filled with examples of things that Iran has done that are only explainable in terms of a nuclear weapons program, that have no application whatever to nuclear research, to medical applications, to the generation of electrical power. And my 2 favorites are the work in connection with creating hollow hemispheres of nuclear matter, uranium or plutonium. You don't use those in power reactors. You create hollow hemispheres to form the core of a nuclear weapon, to be collapsed into critical mass. And closely, that's in Chapter 7 of the report. In Chapter 5, the work on electrical bridge wire detonators and other initiators that is critical to collapse those hollow hemispheres into the critical mass. This isn't abstract physics, ladies and gentlemen. This is about nuclear weapons. And that has been something that has simply escaped notice in these negotiations. We're talking about how many centrifuges Iran is going to be able to keep in operation, not how much work it's going to be able to do on weaponization. And then finally, Iran's public relations strategy. They have been lying for 30-plus years. They're lying today. The report, quoting liberally from the International Atomic Energy Agency, documents that. And although this is not a metaphor maybe that European audiences are familiar with, what the Iranians are doing is pursuing a Watergate cover-up strategy. They have many layers of deceit built into it, but fundamentally their determination is to make sure that neither the IAEA nor any other agency is able to find out exactly what they can get. And it really is a tribute to former President Richard Nixon, who in the midst of the Watergate cover-up said to his Attorney General, John Mitchell, in words I think they must have inscribed in stone in Tehran, Nixon said, "I want you all to stonewall it, let them plead the Fifth Amendment, cover up or anything else if it'll save the plan." So Richard Nixon's spirit is alive and well in Tehran and apparently not understood among the Western negotiators. And I'll close with what I think the implications are. Because although we've all worried what would happen if Iran, for example, tested a nuclear device, that Saudi Arabia would get nuclear weapons, Egypt, Turkey, and perhaps others in the region as well, so that the already volatile Middle East would become even more dangerous. I think if a deal is signed in Vienna on Monday, by January the 20th, anytime in the future, it will convince others in the region that Iran has a free path to weaponization at a time entirely of its choosing, and you will get the onward proliferation effect even from signing the diplomatic deal. So that's why I say it's a very dangerous moment and one that publics in Western capitals, I think, should be questioning their leaders on much more than they have so far. Thank you very much.